I have a few homestead kitchen tasks to do today, one of which is to preserve the tarragon that I pulled out of the garden. The other is to get the freeze dryer up and running, and finally use the peonies and roses that I harvested from my neighbor's garden in an arrangement. But I don't know about you, before I can truly do anything in the kitchen, I have to clean it. I have to have a clean working space. And we have been outside. It is early May, so it is planting season. So Drew has been working around the clock, getting our sunflower fields up and running, and I have been trying to get the gardens going. I am still working on renovating two of our gardens. And so if you are familiar with being on a farm or being on a homestead, I think they have a term for exactly what happens to your house when you're outside for 12 hours a day. Because truly, this is the start of the season where we work from sunup to sundown. And I do enjoy the work, but that means the housework gets neglected. So the dishes pile up. I make all our food from scratch, 3 meals a day on the stovetop. So very quickly, my sink fills up, and I just cannot think or concentrate on the next task until I have a clean working surface. So I have to unload the dishwasher, load the dishwasher. I also have some eggshells that I need to chop up for the garden in the blender. That was another task I failed to mention. So Drew has been loading the tractor and going and planting and tilling and spraying fields for their sunflowers and their dove fields. And then I have been working on my organic garden with herbs and flowers and veggies. And I've been actually busy on the computer at night trying to order and plan for flowers and for medicinal herbs. So it's just been a very busy start to the season. So I'm trying to just get this mess cleaned up. And also, we're pretty new to YouTube, so this kitchen is not what it normally looks like. I don't typically have a freeze dryer on my counter, and I don't have my canning goods on the other side of my counter blocking my windows. My dining room is currently serving as my office space, and this is all because we are renovating. So out of the shot of this video, there's actually hanging wires suspended. And it's been a little crazy. We got kicked out of our bedroom. We are renovating the master bath, and so I'm just trying to find a little solace in the kitchen. So I found a recipe online for tarragon vinegar. I'm not very familiar with tarragon, but I wanted to experiment with a lot of culinary herbs. So I'm just pulling all the leaves off of the branches, and I'm going to base how much vinegar I use based on how much tarragon that I have. The recipe called for 2 cups of vinegar, white vinegar. I think you could probably use any, to half a cup of tarragon. I tend to really like a strong herbal flavor, so I'll probably double that. I use recipes as more of guides, use at your own discretion, but I certainly don't follow them to a T. But I'm excited. This is my first tarragon harvest, so I've been tending to this plant for about 1.5 years now. So this is a way for me to experiment, and I think it'll go well in potato salad and macaroni salad, coleslaw, deviled eggs, maybe over some root vegetables that you roast in the oven. I was originally planning on getting the freeze dryer up and running, which has been on my task list for quite some time, but I've been traveling out of town, so I need to get to that pretty soon. Maybe I'll film that, how to put your freeze dryer together, because I know with all these culinary and medicinal herbs, that's really what I want to use it for preserving them, because it holds the nutritional value and the color and the flavor, unlike regular dehydrating or other traditional dehydrating methods. The vinegar is great. I did look it up. You don't have to put it in the refrigerator. So I'm a big fan of anything that is shelf stable. I ended up with about 6 cups of tarragon. So I'm just going to heat up some white vinegar, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. And then I'm going to add the tarragon in, and then that's it. You're going to put it in a jar, and you're going to put it in a dark, cool space, shake it every now and then, and after 2 weeks, but I tend to let my stuff steep for a long time to really extract all that flavor, it's ready to go. Now, I've taken several herbalism classes. And a lot of people say after 2 weeks, after 4 weeks, whatever it may be that you're making, you can strain out the contents. But the herbalist I was talking to and learning from made a really valid point. People typically neglect the stems and the roots and other things. Those can all go into your concoctions. And she doesn't strain anything out of her tinctures or her vinegars or whatever else she's making. Because the longer you leave it in, the longer it'll extract from the plant. And every plant truly is medicinal. So I tend to just leave my stuff in there. I also have I don't want to call it a lazy cooking technique, but we put a lot of our work and effort into other places, so sometimes I just can't be bothered to go through and strain everything I make, because I make a lot from scratch. This strainer that I'm using is actually for milking, but I found it is excellent for putting things into jars. It didn't quite make a gallon's worth, but don't be fooled by the grassy look. It actually smells wonderful, and I will definitely post a recipe on the blog using this vinegar. Our blog is at browningshomestead.com. We have quite a few things on there about being a first-generation farmer and really trying to navigate this lifestyle of just kind of living off the land and living from scratch. Now, by no means are we off-grid. We enjoy electricity and running water. We actually haven't had a heater for 4 years, but that's only because we couldn't afford to replace it. So we've been using the wood-burning stove, but we are finally making progress on our home and renovating it. It is a log cabin that was built in 1990, and I'm trying to make it look as old as possible. And certainly with all my concoctions, as Drew likes to call them, I'm definitely doing a good job of that. But as far as labeling all those concoctions, I have found that the easiest way to do it is with painter's tape and the Sharpie. Keep it simple. It comes off really easily. I tried to get one of those cute label makers. It broke on me. I got another one. It broke on me. So anyway, painter's tape for the win. I'm just wiping off the vinegar here. And the really neat thing about our renovation, which we're nowhere near completion, but we are actually putting in a root cellar. So all these things that I can, that freeze dryer you see on my kitchen counter, all the craziness that you see in the kitchen, all those appliances, big bulky things, and of course all my herbs are actually going to go down in the root cellar, in that dark spot in the earth that maintains that temperature to keep everything preserved for years and years, especially our root crops. So I'm making sure to label what I'm making and the year. It's so easy, and it just comes right off. If you don't label your jars this way, I'm telling you, this is the best that I have found. So yes, one day after all these things are done crowding my front room, and my dining room, and my kitchen, they will go down in the root cellar. But for now, it'll be in my dining room office, where I'll remember to shake it